The longest journey. It is important to affirm and prove that we go to the mountains to live and not to die, that we are not fanatics but firm believers, and that the few accidents which occur are hard but not useless lessons. Italian alpinist Guido Rey. 1. The tent quaked in the howling wind. The storm had raged for 3 days, trapping Lena and Ruby Roat at a narrow notch in the mountain ridge. By now the ceaseless sound of flapping nylon had become maddening. When the storm was unleashed on March 25, 2001, the sisters had only just skied to this pass, called Manatee Kernel. They hastily assembled a tent. There had been no time to build up enough snow to create a wind block. Snow now piled against the shelter's walls, threatening to collapse and bury them. When the women went outside to shovel it away, they threw themselves through the door to keep their sleeping bags from being covered in snow, which could soak the down that kept their bodies warm. They couldn't afford to be careless. The nearest town, the British Columbia ski mecca of Whistler, was at least a 4-day journey south on skis, up snow-draped peaks and down unpopulated valleys. Lena, 28, and Ruby, 30, lit a stove inside the tent to cook food and dry their gear, a calculated risk, given that the tent wasn't flame retardant. But the heat from the stove and their bodies melted the snow beneath the floor, and it began to dip like the hull of a canoe, pooling water and pitching the sisters toward each other as they slept. Above the rampaging wind, they could hear the muffled roar of avalanches around them. Such dangers might explain why no one had done what Lena and Ruby were attempting on this expedition: traverse North America's Coast Range, a giant's backbone of mountains stretching nearly 1,000 miles from near their home in Vancouver all the way to Alaska and the Yukon. Some veteran mountaineers and skiers thought that it was impossible to ski it in one go. The Coast Range was remote and glaciated, shot through with raging rivers, almost laughably difficult to access, and notorious for unholy elevation gain, from sea level to peaks as high as 13,000 feet. Then, there was the wild scale of it all. Many considered it the longest non-polar ski journey ever attempted. Some called it the longest technical ski traverse in the world. It demanded months of arduous travel and route finding. Anyone who tried it would have to navigate crevasses, avalanches, and the storms that broke across the mountains like waves. Traveling the entire length was the equivalent of climbing and descending more than 18 Mount Everests over a distance equivalent to nearly 50 marathons. Yet Lena Roat thought it could be done. Outwardly, Lena lived a life of epic adventure, skiing, mountaineering, through hiking, cycling across the continent. She was known in Whistler's ski community as a 6-foot-tall powerhouse with insane endurance, game to try almost any mountain objective. She wore thrift store clothes, preferring bright tights and flowery dresses over brand-name gear, and sometimes shed clothing altogether to ski naked. She dyed her short hair, once bright blue, now bleached white, and danced on tables at parties, without any need for alcohol or drugs to let loose. But underneath the hard-charging, fun-loving exterior, she mostly felt lost and depressed. She had no structure in her life, no steady job, and was often overwhelmed by a bottomless feeling of isolation. The mountains were the only place where her brain calmed, which was one reason she was excited to tackle the Coast Range traverse. It had the tantalizing potential to fill her inner emptiness. She just needed her sister, equally capable in the mountains, to join as her partner. The two had matching facial features, but Ruby was much shorter, with a gymnast's compact body and hair dyed a deep magenta. Lena liked the idea of achieving this first together. Other than their mother, she knew of very few women in the world of mountain sports, and sometimes struggled to find adventure partners, simply, she assumed, because she was female. Lena liked that she and Ruby could model the kinds of possibilities for women and girls that the two of them didn't have growing up. Except it seemed that it would be men who completed the Coast Range route first. Somehow, after so many years, when a full traverse was thought impossible, a young Canadian alpinist had dreamed the same dream at the same time. His team of 4 men left 4 weeks ahead of the Rowat sisters. The women had raced to begin their own journey, and 3 weeks later they were pinned down by the storm. Now, in the besieged interior of their meager shelter, Lena's stomach began to roll with nausea. In the hours that followed, it worsened. She had to exit the tent repeatedly to relieve herself. The storm showed no signs of abating as Lena's illness intensified. In that moment, dejected mentally and cut down physically, she considered abandoning the attempt altogether. But she couldn't go back now. Not after all the work that had gone into planning the expedition. Not when all that waited back home was crippling loneliness and the lurking sense that she'd failed. Lena wasn't the only one in adventure sports who'd battled demons. Such endeavors often draw the misfits, the slightly crazed, the traumatized. Acute levels of risk, like those found in mountaineering, ski touring, whitewater kayaking, and climbing, can offer a tantalizing opportunity to mask a void, or, for people like Lena, fill it. Walking the thin line between life and death demands the kind of focus that can cause the demons to fall away entirely, and help athletes feel part of something bigger than what plagues them. But many never take the next step and figure out what's behind an interior wound, or do the deep work to heal it. Lena would do both, but only after her Coast Range journey brought her face to face with death. She felt useless, without purpose. She wished there was even one person who wanted to spend time with her or cared about what was going on in her life.